I just remember walking into the bedroom and just falling on the bed and started crying and sort of, you know, I mean, where do I go from here? It was probably 2018, really, the real journey started. I got teamed up with Kev Friend.
We seemed to sort of like hit it off in regards of both our personalities sort of like struck a chord with each other, which made it better for me in regards of from a referee perspective and from him as assistant referee.
November 2019, and I'd had a chest infection, which I thought was a chest infection. Went and done a game at Burnley, West Ham. Come back, still didn't feel brilliant. So I went to the doctors. She examined me, and I just really said, everything seems okay, but we'll send you for just a routine X-ray. I was in the kitchen, picked the phone up, and it was the doctor. I always remember her saying to me, she says, have you had a letter? And I went, no. And she went, oh. And she said, okay, we've found a lump in your chest. I just remember walking into the bedroom and just falling on the bed, started crying, and sort of, yeah, I mean, where do I go from here? Doing the journey of sort of 18 months with Kev, it was like the first person I'd ring, and that's what I did.
It's that hurt because there's somebody that you feel so closely to as a friend and like a brother, and it was that period of time on the phone, which is quite a while, is just talking through that raw emotion and just get it all out there so we know where we are and what we need to be doing.
I joke now, but my feet never touch the floor. Blood test, MRI scan, another X-ray, an appointment to see a consultant. But ultimately, we still didn't really know, and I didn't believe them. It was Christmas Eve. The phone went, and it was a consultant. He said, we've looked at everything, and you've Hodgkin's lymphoma, or classic Hodgkin's lymphoma. Me and my wife, we just, you know, looked at each other. I didn't really realise it. It was probably the first time it sort of went, you're fighting something that you don't know. And I always say, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I started my chemo. We got to February and had another PET scan, which come back that it stopped growing, which was the best news we could have asked for. Mum and Dad come round on the Thursday or Friday and brought some groceries round. A week later, 31st of March, the phone went about 9:20. It was me mum. And she said, your dad's had a heart attack. And I just, again, just froze. Within an hour, she rang me back and said, your dad's gone. I'd rang a friend of mine whose wife was a district nurse and sort of said, I need to help my mum, what can I do? And she just said, look, we don't want you to get an infection. of any kind, let alone if it could have been COVID or anything like that. During this time, I never saw my mum. I was, I suppose, lucky as my wife, my daughter, to keep me busy. My mum was just on her own. I got to the point where, I suppose, I don't like to use the word bad, breakdown, anxiety was through the roof. And not many people know this. Because ultimately, I was embarrassed to say I needed some help. Sorry. I went for my PET scan. That day, Dr. Nielsen rang me and said, it's good news. Obviously, my wife was, overjoyed like me. I just said, we need to make one more trip. And we drove around to my mum's and went in. On night that night, I couldn't go when Dad died, and just told Mum the good news. Some people will be watching this and won't know I've gone through it, but I just want them to pick the phone up, text someone, and not sort of say to them, how are you? But just start a conversation. Because I think as men, we don't talk.
You look back now and you think to yourself, it's a good thing that we had that relationship, that we could actually come and talk to each other about, I don't feel great today. This is in my head at the minute. I'm not in a good place.
Without Kevin, I don't like to say I wouldn't be here, but I wouldn't have been able to do it as well.
No matter what life throws at you, no matter what comes to you in a negative way, it's how you then overcome that. And just to see the strength that Matt had within himself to actually go, well, I'm going to get back out there again. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to walk away. And to see that journey and to be a part of that journey for Matt was brilliant.
The nurses at Russell's Hall Hospital and the Georgina Ward, the nurses at New Cross Hospital in Wolverhampton. This is, I suppose, my way of saying thank you to them, really. I never made hard decisions. My wife made hard decisions, far harder than me. My mum ultimately made one of the hardest decisions, just like my wife, and I'm just here, back at work, doing what I never thought I dreamed of, really.